honestly, I think I accidentally did way too many. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Just Another Struggling Writer, the beleaguered author's one-stop shop for commiseration and hopefully inspiration. My name is Carrie Scher, and I am just another struggling writer. Well, today is Sunday, June 8th, and just one short week ago, I finished my first draft of Seekers of Empyrean. The process of writing this first draft was honestly more of a struggle than I originally anticipated. I had kind of hoped to wrap up this draft in 3 or 4 months, and instead I doubled up and finished in just about 8 months. I also overshot my original word count target of 90,000 words, topping out at 106,300 words for an average of just under 500 words a day. Yikes, not even hitting my baseline. And ever since typing, to be continued, not the end, because we all know that I have got way more books planned than just this one. The question on my mind has been, well, now what? Obviously, the work does not stop just because one draft is finished. I'll be the first to tell you that this draft needs a lot of work. But because I've never done revisions for a large project like this before, I find myself asking, how do I go about this? My previous attempt at revising a first draft stalled out after the first couple of months after I realized pretty much the whole book needed to be rewritten because it was just so thin on details and world building and plots beyond the main thrust. And when I realized that, I was really discouraged and ended up shelving the project entirely. And while I do hope to get back to that idea someday, I'm grateful that I don't feel that way about Seekers of Empyrean, which is not to say it doesn't need revisions. It definitely does. Just today, I realized that the middle 40% of the book needs to be completely redrafted with new plot points, but I feel a lot more secure in So some Carrie lore, if you don't already know it, I have a massive thunder phobia. But because of all the work I did doing the world building and the outlining last summer, I actually feel more secure in how to tackle revisions this time. So I've got a plan, and if you are more experienced in revision, let me know what you think and let me know how I can adjust. I will take any tips and tricks you guys got for me. So the first step, one that I have been undertaking over the last week, is what I am calling a post-mortem outline. And what that essentially means is I am doing a read through of the original draft and filling out scene worksheets that I created, asking certain questions about the scene. Why is it important? What subplots are featured and what character arcs are featured? How does the scene progress and how does it differ from the original outline? And most importantly, how can I make it better? And even though I've only completed the first 20% or so of the draft, I've already gotten a lot of really great ideas on how to improve in draft 2. To say nothing of the realization I had earlier about that middle 40%, and I've already figured out the main beats of the rewrites, so I'm already ahead of the game there. Something else I started doing this week as part of my revision plan is I started taking notes on what reveals and what lore drops I should slip into the draft at what time. So that way I'm avoiding the dreaded info dump, and that information is being fed to my main character Arceli, and by extension the reader, in a way that doesn't distract from the narrative and feels natural. It was actually this exercise that forced me to rethink the middle 40% of the plot and helped me come up with a way to address it and make it stronger. Once I am done with the postmortem outline, my plan is to then go back to my notes and make a list of all of the subplots and character arcs that appear throughout the story. Because honestly, I think I accidentally did way too many, which is so funny because if you recall from my outlining phase, I was worried that I didn't have enough. But as always, the drafting process generated some surprises, and I managed to come up with some ideas for how my main character progresses as a person and some interesting subplots to include. And now I'm worried that the draft is going to be too busy with all of them, so I want to figure out which ones are the most important, which ones have short-term repercussions that I can pare back and relegate to the background, and which ones have longer-term implications that need a more delicate touch. I've already got some ideas on those two just from doing this postmortem outline, so I feel, again, really strong about that step. Once I've decided how I'm going to proceed with these character arcs and subplots, then I would like to move into a second draft outline. And yes, in some ways, the first draft is kind of an outline to be operating from. I would like this outline to be even more detailed than the first draft outline, and use my scene outline worksheets to remind myself of the changes that I want to make for each scene. And again, with that middle 40% being rewritten entirely, a fresh outline will definitely come in handy. I don't like it. I do not like it. And once that is complete, there won't be anything left to do but start the draft. And my plan for the new draft is to start a clean, fresh document and redraft the whole thing, most of the whole thing. I do plan on pulling some of draft 1 over to draft 2, but really just the best parts, my favorite lines or really strong deliveries. Everything else will be rewritten from scratch. While I don't use Scrivener on a regular basis because I use a browser-based word processor, I do plan on doing a split screen and comparing the two as I go. Now, I'm sitting here and telling you all this, but I have doubts, mostly surrounding the idea of taking a break between draft 1 and draft 2. In the past, I think I would probably agree with you that that's a smart idea. It can never hurt to get some distance and perspective on an idea you've been mired in my case for at least the last year, but especially the last 8 months that I've been drafting. And yes, I know that there really isn't a time crunch here, that the timetable I have set in my mind is purely fictional and something that I have made up for myself, and I have no need to adhere to. But if you recall from my to be written video, you know I've got way too many books in my head to lollygag with any of them, so taking a break doesn't feel right. But even more than that, I don't want to leave this world. I feel so energized right now. I feel so proud of the work I did and so pumped about what I was able to accomplish. The first draft I've finished since 2019, and the fact that I'm going into revision not discouraged like I was last time, but excited. When I realized this afternoon that I would have to rewrite 40% of the book completely, I was at first afraid that I wasn't going to come up with the ideas necessary to fill that gap. But as I started mulling it over and brainstorming and writing down the ideas that were coming to me, I realized I'm not afraid of doing these rewrites. I'm excited because that 40% is very weak and does need to be rewritten. And the ideas that came to me to fill in that space are so much stronger than what is there now. And I'm really excited to implement them and make this book better. And truthfully, my personality has always been, if I take a break from something, the harder it is for me to come back and the more disconnected I feel. You can ask my partner, if I play the first 20 hours of a video game and then I take a month off, I have to come back and restart the game because I don't have fun playing it unless I feel fully immersed, and I can't feel fully immersed unless I'm in it from the beginning. And so honestly, I'm a little bit worried that if I were to take a large break, that it wouldn't feel the same, that I wouldn't have the same drive or energy or passion for the project anymore. So after giving it some thought, I am gonna stay. I am gonna continue working on it. And while I no longer think that my June 23rd start date for draft 2 is feasible, it's not gonna be much later than that. Honestly, I'm just so excited to be in revision. As you guys probably know by now, drafting is probably the most difficult part of the writing process for me. Yes, I do get the same elated feelings when I hit upon a really good idea mid-sentence and I get to type it out, or the heart-stopping moment when you drop a line that is just slay. But getting those moments asks a lot of energy from me. I think probably more energy than it does many other writers. I find it a lot more difficult to kind of slip into a flow and pound out 1,000 words. And I think that's part of the reason the first draft took me 8 months instead of like the 4 that I was originally hoping. But revision, editing, outlining, brainstorming, that is where I make my bread and butter. Is that the right turn of phrase? I'm a writer, I should know this. So while I do hope to get through this phase quickly so that I can get back on the draft and hopefully get that ball rolling again so that I can revise it again and get with critique partners and get myself closer and closer and closer to eventually querying, I'm going to enjoy this time while I'm in it. That being said, if you have any revision tips, please drop them in the comments and let me know. I will take anything you've got. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I so appreciate it. If you like my content and want to support the channel, please like and subscribe or consider leaving a comment down below, especially if you've got revision tips. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, leave me like the pen and paper emoji. In my next video, I will have my first post-mortem outline vlog for you. I hope you look forward to it, and I will see you then. Bye.